Finding an activity to do with your child that challenges and pushes you both to be better, that builds character, and is something you can learn together is a fantastic thing.
At Okami Kai Martial Arts and Fitness, we thrive on positive feedback from our students, so you can just imagine how happy we were to hear from Jessica and her daughters as they gave their thoughts about our classes.
Classes are always fun, and I always learn something new.
Fun and learning, all while getting out and getting active. That's one of our goals, and according to these amazing ladies, we're doing our job and doing it well.
I see the excitement and the joy that they have to go to class to learn and improve.
Contact us today to find out what everyone is talking about. Our family can't wait to meet your family.
Okami Kai is my favorite place to be.
Okami Kai Martial Arts and Fitness. Check us out at okamikai.com.
Everything is my favorite thing to do in class.
Welcome to the Okami Kai Chronicles, a podcast devoted to not only the students at Okami Kai Martial Arts and Fitness, but also to the fans of our school and maybe even other instructors who are curious about what's happening in our small area of the martial arts industry. I'm Scott Campsall, and I'm the chief instructor at Okami Kai, which is located in Uxbridge, Ontario, Canada. In this episode, I talk about the follow-through. In his book, Atomic Habits, James Clear uses the example of a plane flying from Los Angeles to New York. If the pilot makes a small adjustment of just 3.5 degrees to the south, the plane will not land in New York as intended, but instead will arrive in Washington, D.C. A small, consistent change over time can produce remarkable results. You first have to apply those changes, though, and be patient. Sometimes reaching a destination takes longer than we'd like, but commitment to following through makes all the difference as to whether we're going to arrive to where we want to be or not. The ceiling of the Sistine Chapel was painted between 1508 and 1512. That's a long time. If you think about it, it actually takes about 4 years to get a university degree. So just one ceiling. And I don't consider myself to be too handy, but I figure I can probably paint a ceiling in less than 4 years. Now, it won't look like the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, but I can probably get the job done in less than 4 years. Something the world will come to see takes a little longer than a weekend that consists of putting on a primer and then maybe a couple of coats of paint. So again, 4 years, very long time to paint one ceiling. And yet, Michelangelo didn't shift his focus. He could have, in maybe even 1 year, maybe 2 years, said, you know what, I think I'm going to change my style. Like there's that Da Vinci guy and his signature technique, that sfumato technique that creates a soft, smoky effect with some blurring lines and transitions. Maybe I should try his style. Or Raphael, his compositions are known for their clarity and their sense of harmonious balance. Maybe I should do that. But no, he sticks to his guns, and it's well known that his style was characterized by its dramatic energy and powerful, often muscular figures. So he sticks to this and he says, this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to follow through. Could he have rushed it? Yeah. Could he have given up? Maybe he just gives the contract up, says, I don't want to do this anymore. 4 years is a long time. But in the end, we now have a beautiful work of art that the world can admire. Martial arts and fitness is plagued by people looking for the new trends, whether it be some kind of new gimmick, whether it be some kind of new branding. There's always another workout plan. There's always another diet. There's always another martial arts style that seems to be trending. And the ones who seem to be really gaining the respect in any of their fields are the ones that stuck it out and did the follow through. Arnold Schwarzenegger, for example, he's been training for about 63 years now, and he's only changed his workout strategy 4 times in his life due to his competition goals or his age. This is a former Mr. Universe. And he never said, you know what, for my cardio, maybe I should start playing hockey. Or, you know what, maybe I should do more calisthenics. Or maybe I should do Pilates. No, he had his own ideas on how he was going to win his competitions. And then when he decided to retire, how he was going to shift his training. When he went through his heart surgery, even more recently, he's decided that now he needs to do more machines. but there were only 4 times in 63 years has he changed his workout routine. There are some people that are working out in the gym right now and they don't understand why they're not seeing gains. So if we're going to look at gains, maybe we look at something like a bench press. You can bench press whatever weight you're bench pressing, and then in a few weeks or a month, maybe you bench press a little bit more. You bench press a couple more pounds or maybe even 5 pounds more. You can't see that improvement unless you stick to the bench press. If all of a sudden you decide to shift and say, hey, you know what? I think shoulder presses are where it's at, or I think push-ups are where it's at, you won't see the improvement on the bench press. It's a totally different exercise. You may be able to add push-ups into your workout while you're doing the bench press, but in the end, the way that you're going to see the improvement on the exercise is by doing the actual exercise and following through. I posted a meme recently on a couple of our Facebook and WhatsApp parents groups, and it's sort of a comic of a couple bringing their child to a martial arts studio, and it says how it started, and the couple are saying, we want our child to learn discipline. And then the next square, it says 6 months later, and there's the mom with a child who's obviously plugged into his screen, and it says, we don't want to make little Johnny do anything he doesn't want to do. He doesn't feel like it anymore. And we see this more times than you would imagine in the martial arts industry and teaching kids karate. When parents are bringing their child to us, they're saying, well, he needs more focus, he needs more discipline. And we think that martial arts is going to be an effective tool that'll help us achieve that. And you wouldn't believe how many parents are actually saying, you know what, we really like your program, but we just can't get our child to go anymore. And so as much as we could turn around and say, well, he's the karate student or she's the karate student, and so therefore they have to have the desire to follow through. If you're looking at a child, they don't have that. They don't have the ability to, well, for one, research how long it's taken for the Sistine Chapel ceiling to get painted. And so there's nothing to draw from. They might have small life experiences that they can draw from that will help them to understand, okay, you know what, I need to see this through. But they're going to need their parents to give them that extra push. And as much as we've seen parents turn around and say, we can't get our child to go, we're really upset that they won't see this through, which is still good, because when somebody tells us that, if we can get enough notice, usually we can sort of help encourage the child to keep on training. If it goes too long, then it becomes a personal battle between the parent and the child. But in the end, it's going to take work from the parent. The parent has to have the self-discipline, and the parent has to have the desire to follow through. And if a parent believes that our program is good, then they're the ones that are going to have to say, nope, it's time to get in the car and do karate. So there's certain tactics that we use. We strongly advise that parents don't have a all-over schedule, that they actually have nights that they say these are the karate nights. And so it's not even something that the child has to think about whether they're going to go to class or not, or the child, it's not the fact the parent has to think what night are they going to bring their child. It's just a given. So let's say it's Tuesday, Thursday, those are your karate nights. Then you don't even think. You go, okay, we're going to come home from school, maybe get a snack, and realize that your class is at such and such a time. And so we have to leave at such and such a time so that we can be there on time. And maybe hopefully the child's going to be happy that they went to class. They're going to have a good time. They're going to enjoy themselves. They're going to learn something. But it comes down to, did they show up? There's a saying that I really like. It's a white belt is a black belt that doesn't quit. And if anybody personifies that, it's probably me. There are times where, yeah, I don't want to go to my own classes, but I still show up. And there are times where I have gone, and quite honestly, I've had a great time. I've enjoyed it, and I'm glad because I've learned something, and I can look back and say, if I hadn't gone, I wouldn't have learned that thing. Or if I hadn't gone, then I wouldn't have had that benefit of that class. But there are, yeah, I'll admit it, there are times where I've gone and it was just another time that I went. But here I am, 6th degree black belt in karate. Every martial art that I've ever started, I started as a white belt. I remember Hanchi Block had asked me when I wanted to do Aikido, he said, well, why did you just keep your black belt and then we'll just train you? And I said, no, I want to, and I literally said, I want to go through your ladder. I want to climb your ladder. I want to go through the steps. I want to learn the curriculum as well as doing the moves. And so now here I am, 2nd degree black belt in Aikido. It was just a matter of going to class. And his classes, if you don't know, I used to drive to Windsor, and I would train in Windsor for a couple hours, go do lunch, and then I'd drive home. And that would be on a Sunday. I wasn't going to improve in Aikido with Hanchi Block if I hadn't decided that I was going to keep on going to class. And yes, there were days I did not want to go, but there were also times where I would sit and look at the calendar and go, okay, when am I going to class? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is its own animal. And there are days, it's a rough martial art. And there are times I really don't want to go. But every single time I've gone, I've been able to benefit from something. And there are times where I'm rolling and I'm getting my butt handed to me. And no, I'm not always winning. But I think that's a good thing, because if I was always winning and if I was always going and not being challenged, then there really isn't room for improvement. So here I am now, a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm not going to stop. Why? Because I have to follow through. And it's interesting when you're doing martial arts, for me anyway, the follow through, there's no end. I think that a lot of people get sort of disoriented in the idea that the black belt is sort of that dangling carrot, that once you get your black belt, then you can quit. And for the martial arts I've learned anyway, there is no ending. There's always a way to do something better. There's always more to learn. We tell our students that they should go to class at least twice a week. And if you want to improve, I strongly suggest that 2 to 3 times a week is the average that you should be looking for. If you have the patience, though, even once a week is better than not going at all or giving up. So there are some times where we've had people that'll come to us and say, I just can't get in enough, and so therefore I'm going to quit. The Sistine Chapel could have taken longer if Michelangelo only painted twice per month, but it still would have gotten done. So yes, it would have been longer than 4 years, but the ceiling would have been done. And here we are, 2025. The Sistine Chapel was finished in 1512. It's still around. It's still being admired. One has to assume that if you kept on going to class, that you're going to get respect because of the fact that you continued and you didn't stop. There was a Men's Health magazine article, came out, over 20 years ago, I would think now, but it was entitled, What are the top 10 things that you could do to make yourself more interesting? Number 1 on the list was get a black belt in a martial art. And the theory was that even if you weren't into martial arts, that you would still engage in a conversation with that black belt person, because you'd want to know, what are they studying? How long have they been doing it? Why did they do it maybe? And if you were a martial artist and you were talking to that person, you're also interested because you also do it. So now you have something in common. So they were saying number 1 thing to make yourself more interesting was get a black belt in a martial art. It didn't say the number 1 thing that you could do was do martial arts for a few months or do martial arts for a couple of years, or even just get your brown belt. No, black belt was it, because that deserved respect, that you had gone from the beginning and followed it through. There are so many people out there who have started martial arts and then quit. There are a lot less that followed through to get the black belt. Accomplishments are made with the follow through. For example, when somebody golfs, the ball is on the tee or it's on the green, or, well, with me, it might be in the rough outside the fairway. But nevertheless, if the ball is underneath you, when you hit the ball with your club, if you take a swing and you stop when you hit the ball will only go so far. If you can follow through all the way through the stroke, the ball goes much further. And again, with me, it probably sways off to the right or the left or something like that. It won't go exactly where I want it to go. But it still goes further if I can do a full follow through on my swing. If I don't, it doesn't go anywhere. So again, accomplishments are going to be made with a follow through. If you have just started training, if you have just started doing martial arts, or if you've just started doing fitness, know you're in for a long journey. In order to see results, it's going to take some time. You're not going to lose a huge amount of weight in a couple of days, not in a healthy way anyway. We have a couple of women who are doing our fitness classes now, and they have lost a combined amount of 80 pounds. This has been through hard work, through diet, through discipline. They didn't do it overnight. If they had not continued, if they had all of a sudden seen that this, actually Monique in particular is now wearing a weighted vest. Actually, Avery is now too, but Monique said that she had sort of peaked at one point, and so she started wearing a weighted vest for the classes. So again, don't get things confused. It's not that she's just jumped on a trend. It's that she's added something to her workout. She's still doing the same classes. She's just made them a little more difficult in order to see more results. I'm pretty sure that if Michelangelo had access to a paint sprayer and could still keep his style and still keep everything within the concept of what he wanted to create, that he probably would have jumped at the chance. So it's not that you're changing up your plan or giving up. It's just that you're doing something a little more efficiently. So going back to Avery and Monique, they are observing the idea of the follow through. They're sticking it out. We've had so many black belts come through our doors, and they all started as white belts. If you go into my office, you can see I have all of my cue or color belt certificates in a frame behind my desk. And the reason why I have done that is because I want our students to know that, yes, I started as a white belt. And if I started as a white belt and made it all the way through the black belt ranks that I have now, and anyone can do it. Personally, I think anyone can do it. If you've been training for a long time, know the same thing. So again, if you just started training, know you're in for a long journey in order to see those results. And if you've been training for a long time, know that same thing. You're still on the path. You're still going to achieve. You just have to keep on coming to class. You have to stick it out. You have to follow through. And unlike the job of painting a ceiling, the work of art that we're trying to create, or the work of art that we're trying to improve, is you. This has been a Campsall Broadcasting production. If you listened to this entire episode from beginning to end, congratulations. You now know what it's like to follow through on something.